Happy Tuesday, October 21st. 21 is my favorite number. I have some notes for what I want to share. So I had an experience in the gym this morning that gave me some fresh perspective on how we adapt in the face of adversity, illness, and trauma, and I wanted to share. So some of you may know that I was able to take a trip to Europe back in September, and on the second day of my trip, I did not see a curb and fully tripped over it and twisted my right ankle, and like backpack went over my shoulders, a shoe came flying off, and then I landed on my like left knee to brace the fall. So not great, not amazing, was not on my bingo card to start my trip off that way, but that is how the trip started off. Some kind of cool reflections within that experience though were that I was forced to go slow. It was day 2 of a 30-day trip, and I had intentions to maybe take a hike or do something like that, maybe go for some runs, but all of that pretty quickly went out the window. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise that I was forced to slow down and really take things like very easy, and just like baby myself throughout the trip, and as much as I could like ice my ankle and just take good care. And so like focused on like tending to myself as much as possible. So that was one nugget. And then another piece was the whole reason why I tripped, and like what I was doing before I tripped was there was like this beautiful lakefront area in the town that I was in, and it was in Switzerland near like Lake Lucerne, and I only had like a couple nights there, maybe like 1 or 2 more nights, I don't know, but like not that much time, right? And I wanted to make the most of it, and I think maybe I had plans the next day or something like that, and so this was maybe like the one time that I was going to be able to like have dinner like near the lake, and so I wanted to like make a good choice and like, you know, choose somewhere for dinner that I was gonna be happy with. And so I had walked to a couple of the restaurants and like looked at the menu and was just kind of like trying to decide like what I wanted for dinner. And I was walking like to another restaurant to like look at the menu to make my most informed decision when the incident occurred. And so that kind of, as I reflected on the whole situation the next day, that was another one of my learnings for myself, was like literally like it doesn't need to be perfect. Like you're in this beautiful town, you had like you looked at like maybe like 2 different restaurants, the options were fine, like there was food there that you would have been happy with, and like the vibes were fine, could have just like been happy at one of those places, but yeah, you continue to like search out and suss out like other options, which like do your thing, girl, but also like it's okay to be like content and not like perfect something and like search for like an optimal situation all the time. Like sometimes it's just like good already. And then the last little nugget that was really lovely about the experience, and I recognize like that low-key sounds insane to talk about an injury being lovely, but we do what we can to kind of see the positive. But right after it happened in a pretty like visible place, like people were like enjoying their dinner like outside of restaurants like in front of the lake, and like I was the show, like it happened right in front of all these people, like literally the backpack going over my shoulders, the shoe coming off, like all of that. And so as I started to situate myself of like, what's the damage here, like how bad is this, can I walk, like what's going on, people just like came. Like, I think initially it was one older woman and it was 3 women having dinner together who came, and then one young man who was working at the coffee shop there, Naro, who we ended up becoming friends. But yeah, it was just like a lovely outpouring of support. And then there was another gentleman who I think was also traveling, who came by later on, and he was like, do you need I don't know if it was ibuprofen, it was some sort of powder, like some sort of powder. Actually, that sounds really bad. No, it was some sort of like pain, you know what I mean, like I can't think of the word, but some sort of like something to help with the pain. So it brought me like a water bottle and this pain reliever is the word, which truly like clutch, because the injury was like kind of significant. When I woke up the next day, I truly thought about like, do I need to like think about going home? Like, can I do the rest of this trip by myself? Like, can I walk? I don't know. And very thankfully it was okay, and I was able to get my bearings, rest as much as I could, ice it, and things slowly but surely got better. Maybe I'll pop in a few pictures, maybe, if I can do that. But yeah, so okay, so I had the injury. That was now like a month and a half ago, and yeah, it happened while traveling. So maybe like pain injury management could have been better, but I did my best, and I've been continuing to very much like baby it and try to like heal, and it's gotten so much better. It's almost good as new, but it's not perfect. It still lingers a little bit, so I'm still icing from time to time. But yeah, so like it's mostly good. But today when I was in the gym, I was working out legs, and I was doing like single leg lunges. So I would have like one leg up on a bar, like, or up on like a bench behind me. Sorry, not a bar, but up on a bench behind me, and then I'd be lunging with the other leg, if you know what I mean. Again, maybe if I'm like savvy enough, I will pop in like a graphic here. No promises. I'll do my best. That's literally all I can do. But so yeah, I was doing this, and as I'm doing this, just as I'm like resting my right ankle like behind me, like not even the part of my body that's like doing the exercise, but just simply resting the ankle on the bench behind me, just the ankle that I'm like resting it at, it was not super happy with me. So it was a little bit painful, and it's like, but it's like not unbearable either. You're probably thinking to yourself like, okay, Jordan, like this is maybe why like it hasn't healed, because you're doing things like this. Noting that. But anyways, so I proceed carefully, mindfully, and I noticed that as I'm like doing it very carefully, like I am feeling like the lunge in my left leg differently. Like it's just like, you know, it's more like intentional, and it's just like activating like different muscles in my left leg. So this made me reflect a little bit about how like this is kind of like life too sometimes, I think, and how like when we face like adversity, trauma, illness, like sometimes like it is what's a good word for it, sometimes like it does like bench us, and we sit this out. We need full-on recovery until we can like get back in the game, and or sometimes like we can like adapt and push through and, you know, take what we've learned and like just kind of like work through differently. And sometimes like we're benched for a little bit, we're healing for a little bit, and then we get back out there, but we're different, like we behaved differently based on like what we've learned and grown from. And if you stay here with me here for a moment, I'll make the connection. But first, I want to give a little bit of backstory. So this kind of came up for me in relation in thinking about, I've had like quite an interesting journey over the last couple of years, particularly the last 3 years. So we're kind of in fall 2025. I would say fall 2022 is when my life got really interesting. Like end of 2022 through like early 2023, life was really, really something for me. And I'm definitely not the same person that I was before that time period. I navigated 3 separate but converging kind of like life crises. Things that to do with the ending of my marriage, navigating what had become a very difficult situation in my workplace at the time, and then dealing with the end of a court case that I had reported, dealing with sexual abuse that I experienced when I was a kid. So all these things were going on at the same time, and also had like interesting overlapping themes and triggers of like advocating for myself, speaking up, standing up for myself, at times not feeling heard, believed or listened to, having things brushed under the rug, being gaslit. I'm not suggesting that was the case in every situation or at all points, but these were kind of themes that I was dealing with. So really traumatic. And there was some other stuff that went on as well. But it was just a really, really just wow time period of my life. A very wow, like very profound time period. And yeah, I will likely share more on that at a different time point, and potentially in other formats as well. It's definitely made me into the person who I am today, and it's something I continue to process as well. But keeping it high level for the purpose of this example, last week I got news about a job offer that I was like fully anticipating that I was going to be getting the offer. So much so that I had like a page full of notes about like, you know, specifics on, you know, the things that you talk about when you're getting an offer. Just based on the context and how things had went and how things were communicated up until that conversation, that was my headspace and my expectation. And that is not at all how the conversation went. Really interesting, really, really honestly, like not fun, not great, even though like very truly, I know like in my heart of hearts, like that job is not for me. Even if I got the offer, like not for me, not aligned with who I am and with what I want in this season of my life, for a number of reasons, but just how things were communicated and the things that were shared, it was very hard. And it made me reflect on just like, I am not the same person that I was 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I am different, and I think because of some of the trauma that I've experienced, my brain works differently. I am dealing with these chronic headaches, and the conversation last week, as well as some of the interviews that I went through for this job, actually led to stress headaches, which was like such a clear sign for my body that like, okay, like this is not it. But like experiencing these things, I think there has been like an initial reaction from me of almost like frustration and like disappointment with myself of like, who are you? Like, what did you do with like, you know, the woman who you were 3 years ago? Like, why can't you be that woman again? Like, you should be able to get this offer. Like, why can't you perform at that level again? Like, why are you getting these headaches? Like, that's not cool. That's not chill. Like, get it together. That's so harsh. But like, just being transparent, like, that in some ways is what comes up for me. Truly, in how I am feeling and just readjusting and perceiving who I am in this new reality. And I think it was a really cool experience today in the gym to feel my leg working those different muscles of like, it's cool, it's chill. Like, it feels different than the other side. It doesn't feel like, you know, normally what this exercise feels like for me, but like, you're still doing it and like, you're activating different muscles. And in just that way, like, I'm still doing things. Like, I am still out here, I'm still living, I'm still breathing, and I have activated different muscles. I've learned different skills, I've learned different abilities. I am a different person, and in so many beautiful, wonderful ways, I have learned vastly more about myself than I would have had I not gone through the things that I went through. And yeah, I think like that's kind of what I wanted to share. That like, even though I like have experienced like some pretty significant traumas in these areas, and they have impacted me and how I show up and how I experience life, I've also grown and developed in like also pretty significant ways that I otherwise wouldn't have had the experience to do. So yeah, just like my muscles activated differently, I move differently now too. And I think there's a gift in that, that isn't immediately like visible on the surface, or like, I don't know. So those are my thoughts. As always, trying very hard to be so gentle, so kind, and to tend to myself well, to listen to myself and to trust myself, and to show myself that I am trustworthy and I am listening to myself. So yeah, those are my thoughts for now. And I hope you all have a really wonderful start to the week, and that you also are gentle with yourselves and do what you can to cultivate trust within yourselves, and have grace for yourselves if you show up differently than maybe you used to. And also like, have pride in ways that like, you are different than versions of like past versions of yourself. Because like, I think that is growth, even the type of growth that like doesn't feel like linear. I don't know, these are just thoughts. Literally, that's all this is. So do with them what you will. Okay, bye.